What is up, winning team? So, hello everybody. I'm here to talk about the fact we made it through, okay? We made it through. The sun is setting, and it is my last and final moments of being 28 before my next birthday will be 30. And I'm in such a roller coaster of emotions at the moment. Also, look how beautiful the sunset is. Anyways, I'm walking against the sunset right now. Anywho, the positives are we got through the first day of exams. Everybody made it. Everybody's okay. By everybody, I'm talking about the children, because they're all doing exams, and I was really worried for them. I get really, really worried because I know how much pressure, I've talked about this in a previous video, how much pressure is put onto them at this time. And this year I'm doing both. Thank God I'm not doing A-levels as well. Just GCSEs and SATs. So it's all the 10-year-olds and 16-year-olds basically doing their exams this year. So it's tense. And of course, obviously I'm doing maths. So this is the subject everybody's panicking the most about. So we made it. And like, it's just the torture of it all. But what did I want to come on here to say? I had something specific I wanted to talk about. What was I going to talk about? Yeah, so I had another revelation of sorts earlier today. So as I was, anyways, I had another revelation of sorts. You guys have heard me talk a lot about like my favorite series. One of my favorite series, basically another one of my favorite series is Ruined. And this is going to be another episode of why I'm not excited about being an adult and why, I feel like I'm just going to keep talking about this because I actually have valid reasons. And this is going to be a perfect example of the stuff I'm talking about when I'm saying to you guys that I don't want to be contaminated. Like, I feel like the older we get, the more degenerate we become and the more like contaminated. And that's why I don't want to be accepted amongst the adult population, because I don't want to become more degenerate. Like, I don't want to become more corrupt. You know what I mean? And here's going to be a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I've said to you guys, I've referenced a number of times, one of my favorite series I ever watched, Once Upon a Time, right? And Once Upon a Time is a show, came out in the 2010s. By the way, I don't know how people remember dates. You know, people are like, back in the 2010s. How do you remember that? I remember in 2009. Who the freak? I'm not good with stuff like that. Those are the types of things I'm not good with. I'm not good with anything that's just blind memory. For me, everything has to be logical processes, and like there has to be reasoning. Like there has to be logical reasoning. Otherwise, it doesn't stick. That's why, like, you can tell me 1,000 times all the different capital C's of the world, I'm never going to remember. I'll forget, because unless I keep reminding myself, I'm going to forget. Whereas with other things that require logical reasoning, I can keep remembering because I don't need to remember. I just logically reason, if that makes sense. Anyway, so I have this show that I love. I'm so excited. You can tell the excitement. And also it's nice. The one thing I will say is it's actually later than it seems. It's nearly 8 p.m. You know, and it's grinding season, so it's like I'm doing my normal stuff, my normal thing, and then I'm also doing all these extra tuition stuff for like people that I know. So that's why I'm going to quite late these days, but I don't mind. Honestly, I don't. I'm happy to help the kids. Anyway, so I watch this show and I love it because I think it's so wholesome, and the whole premise of the show is, and I've been recommending you guys all watch it. This is how you guys are going to see what I mean when I say I can't live in this degeneracy of this society. So I watch it and I'm like, I love it because I felt like it was so wholesome. It's about a whole bunch of Disney characters. Well, not Disney characters, sorry. Forget Disney. Fairy tale stories, but they all kind of mesh together in one. And they all basically end up living in this town somewhere in America because the Wicked Witch puts them under a spell and removes them from the enchanted forest that they all used to live in. And you've got everybody from the Wicked Witch, Snow White, Rumpelstiltskin, Rapunzel, Robin Hood. Who else is there? There's so many of them who all live there, and they all don't know that. It all starts off that they're all under this spell that they they all know who they are, but they don't know, and they know that they have magical powers, but they don't know why they don't have the memory of where they used to be, and they don't know why they're in this town. And the main character, Regina, the Wicked Witch, she's one of my favorite characters ever. You guys hear me talk about her all the time. I love Regina. Like, I love Regina, the Wicked Witch, and her backstory. We'll get into it because I'm just going to talk about it because I can, but I need to talk about the point of the story. Well, actually, let me allow you guys to experience what life is like for me. So I will tell you about what I like, and then I'll tell you about what happened when I found out how other people were interpreting the show. Because that's what made me realize what is like, the Bible says something like, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? So what is in you will come out from you. And that's something that Jesus also was saying to the disciples when they were asking about like the food and stuff. Was it Jesus or was it Paul? It might have been Paul. And, and again, it's another thing when people talk about eating food. I think it was Jesus, like, what you eat is not defiles you, but what comes out of you. Not what goes into you is what defiles you, but what comes out from you is what defiles you. As in, what you're producing, what's inside of you, is the evidence of your defilement. And the whole idea of even I think, my understanding anyway, my own wisdom is that when Jesus is talking about, somebody's having a barbecue, I have such an issue that people only barbecue in the summer because it's already warm. It's already warm. I want people to barbecue in the winter, and there's no one who ever wants to freaking barbecue in the winter. Seriously, like, there's literally no one who ever wants to do the type of things I want to do. And then when I will ask people, I'll be like, yeah, do you know, I was thinking of having a barbecue, but it's cold. You have to let me know in the summer we should do it. But then I'm like, but I don't want to do it in the summer because in the summer I'm going to be too hot. I'm too hot now. I woke up this morning, it was freezing. It wasn't freezing, but there was frost on the cars, on the roofs of the other houses. I could see out my window, and I felt goosebumps for the first time since winter. And I promise you, I nearly shed a tear of joy. Hold on one second. So, it talks about defilement and how, the whole representation of, having clean and unclean things inside of you. It's like more about, it's almost like a representation of like the difference between having the Spirit of God inside of you versus, demons, or like you consuming the things of the world versus consuming the things of God. Like, this I'm saying, this is on a deeper level, a spiritual level, but whatever. Get to know the Holy Spirit for yourself. So what I saw and what other people saw is very different, apparently. So, and you're going to see what I mean. So I love the show. I love Regina. And I've said that I love Regina in the show because I feel like she depicts something that I always say about society and about life, which is that it's always interesting. I always find myself liking the villains in shows. And it's because I always find that in shows, people always glaze over their backstory when their backstories can be pretty valid. So Regina, turns out her backstory is kind of insane. And I found out details about her backstory today that I didn't even know about before. But the last time I took like a proper break in London, I remember it's February, and I took the entire month off. It's like something I want to do now. I cancelled everything. This is what you can do when you actually just are living freely. But anyway, I took the entire month off. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I didn't see anyone, and all I did was just relax, was do whatever the freak I wanted. I was like cooking, and I was watching Once Upon a Time, which apparently is 155 episodes. I watched it more than once. I would watch it again. I was thinking maybe I should watch it now. Anyway, that's what I need. That February that I just took off, the whole of February, and I was like, no one talked to me, no one anything. And I just was doing whatever I wanted to do for a month, like literally no work, literally no obligation, nothing. I need that in my life again. So anyway, so she became the Wicked Witch, basically. The long and short of it, she has a son. His name's Henry, and she adopted him. Now, people hate her, and she's the mayor of the town, and people hate her. And funny enough, she has this beautiful apple tree with red apples, kind of like the Wicked Witch, the poisoned apple, all of that. And she really loves Henry, but her whole backstory is her stepsister is Snow White. Her stepsister is Snow White. And what happened is when they were kids, her mum, I guess, as in Regina's mum, took in Snow White. And Regina was in love with this guy called Daniel, and she was all girly, and she was all horseback riding with Daniel, and they were all in love. And her mom, her name's Cora, was like, nah, mate, listen, what we do here is we're witches. We ain't got time for love. We got time for wickedness. All we have time is for wickedness. We ain't got time for all of this. Yeah, falling in love, he, ha. So it was a secret that she was seeing this Daniel guy all down in the stables. It's going down in the stables, right? And then her sister snitched. And she's that stupid thing that people do. I can't stand Snow White in the show, by the way. Her adult version, I can't stand her. I never could stand her. Like, before I even knew the backstory, I could just never stand her. Because she's the classic, like, good. Like, I've never done anything wrong. But then when you look into it, because the other thing that Snow White and Prince Charming did in the show that I only discovered now about is when they were going to have the daughter who was going to come and save everybody, because they have a daughter who comes to save everybody, right? Snow White and Prince Charming. But they get given a prophecy that child is going to cause mass destruction if they don't choose the right things, because they have a potential for darkness within them. So then they go and do dark magic, and they basically sacrifice another child. So they go to Maleficent, they take one of Maleficent's eggs, and they put the curses that were supposed to be on their child. This is Snow White and Prince Charming. And they put it onto Maleficent's child. So that's what I'm saying. And it's always these people like this. But as long as you play the good. This is why I love it. And this is why I love Regina, because she's just there. She's never smiling at anybody. And she's gorgeous. She's absolutely stunning woman. Like the woman they cast for Regina is absolutely beautiful. You can't tell me she isn't. Anyway, and so she's doing all of that, yeah. And so Snow White snitches. And then what happens is, when Cora, as in Regina's mum, finds out, I mean, both their mum at this point. Look at this. Can you see this? This never used to be here. Oh my gosh. You can tell the sun's setting over there. See? Now you can see me properly. But I'm walking this way. So when Regina's mom finds out, because her little sister Snow White, she's like, but I just wanted to try and help you and mom's relationship. I didn't want you to have a broken down relationship with your mom like how I lost my mom. Now what little stinky Snow White doesn't know, yeah, is that the reason why Cora, is in Regina's mom, has all these issues, I don't think Regina knows this either, right, is because Cora, Regina's mom, was used to get bullied by Snow White's mom. So this is where all her vindictiveness comes from, and her decision to not want to be good. So it's giving generational curse as well, with Regina also now developing all this bitterness and just being, although funnily enough, and this is the key thing about her that I love, is that despite how everybody sees her and everything, she loves her adopted son Henry, although he doesn't really feel loved, because she doesn't really love him in the way that you would consider a motherly love, but you can tell that she really does. She just doesn't know how to do all of this stuff, which I would so understand on her part, right? Because she's like, I ain't know how to do all this, because like, if you know what I came from. And what ends up happening is, once Cora finds out, Regina's mum, that she's got a boyfriend, she pulls his heart out, because they do this. She puts her hand in his chest, she pulls his heart out, so you can like take somebody's heart and you can like do different things with them. So sometimes people manipulate somebody, like they'll take their heart and then they can control you, so they can force you to do stuff, because if they crush your heart, you die. So they can take it out and you'll still be alive. They could just keep it. So some people just take people's hearts and just keep it to like control them. It's a whole thing. I love it, honestly. So the mum just pushes her hand into the heart, and then she pulls out Daniel's heart and she crushes it. And obviously this breaks Regina's heart. This is her one true love, yada, yada, yada. And again, there's Snow White, philandering around, with Prince Charming, all in love, after having wreaked havoc for so many other people, just living selfishly. Well, like, this is something, this show, even though the time I was watching this was like all the way back in 2019, it's crazy how we've circled back, and I still see the world in the same way. If not, I've got just more data to prove that I was right all along now. That's the only thing that's happened. That's what's funny. And sometimes I beat myself up. I'm like, is it because of my current circumstances? Is it because I've learned so much stuff in the last few years? But those days I was still sociable. I was still out and about. I was doing all jet setting around, doing all this business stuff. And I still saw the world in the same way. I just had different motivations or whatever. Or I had more tolerance, let's say, for the world itself. And not enough data, I guess, to trust in my own way of seeing things. So anyway, so she... what was I saying? So she kills Daniel, and then obviously Regina just goes into depression like forever, and it completely tears her apart and everything like that. And then they all have to kind of live together, and then she's still humane because she keeps having opportunities to kill Snow White, but she never does. Obviously they live in the same place because she can't, because that's still her sister. And I'm just like, that's just like, oh, so sad. Anyways, and the funny thing is that the biological actual parent of Henry, her son she now has, happens to be the child of promise of Snow White and Prince Charming, who then ends up in the town because the son, Henry, is like, nah, I'm just a human. There's all these magical people. My mum, Regina's crazy. I need to go and find my birth mum, like, because he knows he's adopted. And it just so happens that said birth mum, and he was like, the prophecy that was always that he was going to end up coming to find his mom, because she was the one who was going to come and help everything, because obviously she's the child born of true love from Snow White and Prince Charming. It should give me a break, literally choked me to death. So that's how that goes. So anyways, she now then becomes the enemy of Regina again. Now this is the bit where it's about to get weird with what everybody else was saying. Hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh, let's hope he's with me. Let's hope he's with me. Oh my gosh, am I recording still? Oh my days. This is so annoying. Okay, I don't know where I am with this story. I'm gonna have to edit this because it's gonna get confusing. But anyways, so I'm out and about, guys. I've got things to do. Listen. So anyway, so Regina, so now the child of promise is here, and she now wants to, obviously Henry, there's her son, wants to go with his mum, because he's like, no, Regina, you're not treating me with respect, like as into the Wicked Witch, because it's true, she's a bit heinous. He's like, I would rather go and be with my birth mum. Hold on. So anyways, sorry guys. So she now shows up, and now the next thing that happens, is they're fighting over Henry. Now, they both have had really bad upbringings for obvious reasons, as in Emma, that's the name of the child of Snow White and Prince Charming. She's obviously grown up without her parents, and she's been living a life of crime. And actually her and Henry's father, they used to do all crime and stuff together. And that's how they used to spend their time together. So she doesn't really necessarily have healthy relationships with like anybody and with whatever. But then she's more of the motherly figure. So Henry naturally like prefers being around her a little bit, although he still loves Regina, and he kind of understands that, there's just something off with her because of, everything that's happened and what's been happening. So anyway, so they end up both eventually having to kind of at least tolerate each other for his sake, because they both actually genuinely care about him, which obviously he appreciates a lot because he really loves both of them deeply, and it actually is very wholesome to see on the screen and everything. Here's the other thing though. So they both go through a lot of stuff. Now here's the bit where it gets weird. Like, the story's nice, it's wholesome. They end up having to fight against each other, and they end up, they end up having a really very amicable relationship as like co-mothers of Henry, whilst each of them also ends up having their own love interests. So Regina ends up with Robin Hood, who unfortunately also ends up dying for reasons we won't get into. Emma ends up with Captain Hook, who's been with a lot of people, I might add, but that's not important here. And but yeah, they're managing like as a family, as a group or whatever, and it's kind of working. So that's all that's happening. Now here's where it gets weird. In watching all of this, obviously before the mums became like before the mums became like to that point, they used to get into these very tense conversations and these arguments, and I used to find it so fascinating because it's very just dramatic and like very just dramatic for no reason, and they're all up in each other's face. I mean, it's theatrical, it's fairy tales, and I always thought it was really funny and really powerful. Now the key thing is, before I get into where things get weird, right, in watching this show, one of the main reasons I liked it so much is I always felt like, oh, this is so just like pure, clean, wholesome. Because guys, how I say, living in this world, I really feel like this world is so degenerate, and like I really need places and things where I can just feel like I'm not poisoning my brain. I'm not like, because the older you get, the more, it's almost like the more people want to make you degenerate, the more people like make just, it's just all just this cesspool of just degeneracy, right? So I appreciated the show because it was like a really good storyline. It's not like the issues I have now where there's some series that I like, but like for example, now I've stopped watching anime because I'm honestly just sick of seeing like stories where there's like a great storyline, but then in the midst of the storyline you've got grown men drawing teenage girls with like looking up their skirts and with huge boobs bouncing all over the place. And I'm just like, what, I don't know that, I don't think that I want to really watch that. And I don't want to participate. I don't really want to support that. You know what I mean? It's just inappropriate. It's not adding to the storyline. And actually the storyline is good. So why does this have to be here? And this is how I feel about so many things, like in entertainment now, where it's like, this storyline is so good that why do we have to do certain things? Like even just the way they encourage like the foods that they eat, the drugs, like a lot of times I feel like it's conditioning for us, because then it's like, I always use the burger analogy, that if you weren't thinking about having a burger and then all of a sudden I bring it up, now your brain's going there, and now you're going to start thinking, you know what, I actually love a burger. And now that might put that into your head, and now you might want to do it. This is how I feel like about the stuff in the TV. Like the more, you might not even be thinking about doing something or whatever, but like they put it in your face. That's the whole point of advertising, isn't it? So I don't like it. I don't like all the degeneracy. I don't like all the unnecessary, just adult content, the language, the all of it just gets too much, right? So I was loving Once Upon a Time for that reason, that it was just a nice, clean, PG kind of TV program, right? Well. I forgot I lived on frigging planet Earth. So I now look into some analyses of other people who've looked into it, because hold on, what was I saying? Sorry, I'm so overly I'm having so many emotions happening within me all at the same time. So you guys are just gonna have to bear with me. That's just where we're at right now, and you guys are gonna just have to love me for who I am at this current moment. But so I like to look at the analysis of things, right? I like to see people analyze every now and then, like music and TV. I'm always into the BTS. I want to know every detail, like how did people get cast? What was it look like on set? Because obviously it's an industry I'm passionate about as it is, but then also it's just really cool to see. So for me, I always look into, when I'm watching it, I like to just immerse myself and not overthink what's in front of me, and kind of just be present with what's happening, right? That's how I like to be in the moment. But then afterwards, because I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like sometimes people are so hell-bent sometimes on just having to overanalyze everything, and I watch this I listen to this song, and I love doing the same thing, but I feel like you got to just first just embrace it for what it is, and then you go back and you do all the nitpicking. Well, not nitpicking, but paying attention, because that's how I even got into the idea of going into the creative industry, because my parents used to play music around the house all the time. I used to try and point out each of the different instruments, listen to each individual instrument by itself, and that's when I really fell in love with music, because I was like, this would be so cool. I'd love to. This is where my whole idea of being a creative director came from, because I was like, I'd love to put something like this together where there's all these musicians together, and just be the one to just be putting the whole thing together. That's how that all started, literally from the way that I grew up and hearing it. So I get that, but then I also think you got to just kind of be in the moment when you're listening to it and just let it speak for itself. So that's what I try to do, and then I go back. So now I'm going to do the deep dive, and it's been years and years, and I love the show still and whatever. And I'm discovering people think, right, apparently, this is what I mean about the world, that apparently there's all these innuendos that I was missing. Apparently people thought that Regina and what's her name? Emma were like queer baiting because there was so much sexual tension from them. And then I saw the clips like in context of what people was like thinking, and I was like, this is what tells me I live in a world where I don't need to be, because I never saw any of this. I watched the same exact thing. I've watched it more than once, and I also live in the same world. Of why is it, for what reason am I not the one here worried, thinking, why was I not getting all this from there? Why did it come across as just pure and wholesome to me? And it's just so annoying, because I'm like, this is what I mean when I say the world, the older you get, like, it just ruins you. Like, it just ruins you, because I was having so much fun just enjoying. And I wanted to hear like a proper, you know, from people, because like with One Piece, this is why I love watching all the One Piece. I watch the more One Piece and I just take it for what it is, and I don't overthink all the tiny details that I miss, because I know I'm going to go and then be deep diving into every single detail about it afterwards anyway. And I'm like, why are we like this? So then this I'm now seeing that apparently there was all this oh gosh, this is hilarious. This is just, I just can't cope with this planet. I'm not even going to get into it, guys. I'm just looking at stuff. I don't know why I'm moving around so fast. I actually don't have to rush anywhere. Relax 1 second. So now I'm hearing the same exact dialogue that I already heard before, that I've seen so many times. And it's just, I'm hearing it in a different way. And it's like, first of all, I don't even, like, these things go over my head, because genuinely, this is why I say that, like, the world is in the bin. Like, the world is in the bin, because how comes I'm watching the same thing? I know what these same innuendos means, some of them, and some of them I didn't. And like I said, I make an effort not to know. The one thing I hate about this world, and why I'm so annoyed about growing up, is how much this world just tears your innocence away from you, like violently, unconsensually, you know. And that's another reason I have with just being around adults, is I feel like adults a lot of times are just unnecessarily degenerate for not enough good reasons. Like, why do I have to like be a part of this? And like, I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be in the grown-ups club. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there if this is what this is about. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Christians are just the same, because you see it be Christians, yeah. It makes me laugh so much, where I'll see some people who class themselves as Christians. Now, listen, guys, I want to be very clear about something before I go forward. I'm not trying to act like I'm some holier than that, but I'm very much aware of like when I'm being involved in degeneracies and when I'm not. And because I know about my free will, and I know I'm going to have to hold myself accountable. So I'm just saying that if I'm going to be engaging in degenerate behavior, I'm going to know about it, and I'm not going to be trying to pretend that I'm not. I'm not going to try and go before the Lord one day on Judgment Day and pretend like, oh my gosh, God, I didn't know. Like, this is going to be stupid. I know what I'm doing. I have free will. Like, I'm not going to go and play in God's face or anybody else's face and try and pretend I'm the perfect goody, right? But I'm just saying that, like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, this is just what we're living in. And this is what I'm afraid of about being an adult, where I'm just like, it just gets worse and worse. And you just, anyways, guys, let me pay for this stuff and then I'll wrap up this video. Because, yeah. No, I can't get everything I need in here anyway. Also, the sun is setting. Praise Jesus. All right, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I just decided I'm just going to have to just do the separate clips and just cut it all together. But anywho, so, oh my gosh. Holy Spirit, please be with us anyways. So this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm saying about the degeneracy. Like, because I'm just like, who was thinking this? And then next thing you know, there's a whole story arc of like how, you know, people were really like shipping them together and talking about how they, and I'll tell you what bothers me about this particular situation in particular. There's a particular reason this particular relationship and how other people perceived it in watching it, why it bothers me, and why, again, it goes back to what I said at the start of what's inside of others. I get really annoyed at the fact that as humans, we can't keep relationships normal anymore. Like, we just can't keep relationships normal. Like, you can't have, in a lot of instances, you know, and it's not because we can't. I realize it's because other people can't control themselves. It's like what I say to you when people project onto me what they think I do with my life and how I conduct myself. And I'm like, no, That's what you would do if you were in my situation. That's not what I'm doing. You are projecting onto me what you think I do, because that's what you would do. That's not what I'm doing. That's what you would do. And this is what I've been noticing. So when people see this stuff, you're only seeing that because that's how you see things. To me, I'm seeing, like, especially being a woman, and this is what's concerning me now. It's one of the things I haven't talked about yet, about being a female and female relationships, because it's been a while since I've had close and personal female relationships, because a lot of the girlies today who are lesbians, right, or bisexual, started out as friends. Now, this is something I haven't spoken about at all, but I'm going to speak about it now. And that is that, like, back in the days, like back when I was a teenager, and also even just back maybe 10 years ago when I was 18, if I think back to when I first moved out, right, and stuff, you could just have like a normal relationship with other women, and, you know, we do women things that men don't do, you know, and our boundaries are a lot more blurred as far as a lot of stuff, like just stuff we do around each other, things we do to each other, which again now sounds way different in 2026 than it would have in 2016, you know, because now it's like, I worry that because all the girlies are going gay, and they really are, like, and not necessarily going gay as in like making a big deal about like, oh, I'm coming out of the closet as bisexual. I mean, girls who consider themselves as best friends but are engaging in like sexual activities and whatnot. Now I don't know where to draw the line. Now, like, I feel like I have to put up the same boundaries with women that I have to put up with men now. Like, because now it seems as though, because like, how do these things start? How do these things even start in the first place? Clearly, people were having feelings, or I don't know, somebody made some kind of gesture, because like back in the day, you know, I'd be like, oh my gosh, my boobs are really swollen, and then someone would grab your boob, right? And that's just not a big deal. And to me, that's still not a big deal, right? But now I'm like, did little things like that, do they now become a big deal now? Like, here's what I'm saying, I can't keep up with the rules, and I can't keep up with it. I just can't do it. And like, even stuff like this, they were arguing or whatever. People are like, wow, there's such strong, hot, erotic energy happening. I was like, really? Like, I can see the angle where people are coming from, but why was that what came to your mind, and why didn't it come? The biggest question for me isn't why it came to other people's minds. Well, it's not so much that why did it come to their mind, it's the fact that it didn't come to mine. So where is there a difference? And this is what I'm saying. So now I'm just like, sorry guys, it's so loud, let me just wait. And like, low-key, this is something I actually have to worry about now, because I found myself in situations like a few times, if you can imagine, like, this is what I'm saying. I can't go anywhere, I can't be anywhere, I can't do anything, because I had myself in a couple of situations, a couple of times, where I felt like, because I'm looking back now, yeah, you guys know I've been reflecting. I reflect a lot coming up to my birthday, because to me, I treat my birthday like the new year. It's like what happened over the last 365 and what's happening in the next, like, because it's like, that's how I look at it. I don't really care, like the new year thing. Well, you guys know I hate both. I hate my birthday more, but you know, anyway, so I'm like, what exactly, I don't really know what to do. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Because it's like, how are people perceiving certain things? Because like, there's things that have happened like in the past, and this is one of those where I'm like, I have a wild story, but do I want to share it on the internet? I don't. This one I don't want to share. This one I don't need to have the internet to have a video of me talking about. There's enough out there as it is. But on a serious note though, like, I'm looking at everything, and I'm like, once upon a time, you know, I wouldn't have to overthink this stuff, but I have had a few situations amongst other girls where I'm a bit like, about how they behave, or they say something a bit like, on the more lesbian side of things, and I'm just like. And that's the other thing about us as women, is we're a bit more covert with this kind of stuff. And like I said, because the lines are blurred. So now I'm just thinking, yeah, and you guys already know that I already think everybody just hides everything they're feeling and thinking inside. And that's why I don't trust anyone, because I feel like everybody's hiding the truth anyway. So I don't trust what anybody's saying, because it's probably not the truth, and I'm probably right about that anyways. And the older I get, the more sure I am of that like I'm just the one who's actually just outwardly saying how I really think and feel about stuff, and other people are just pretending. It brings me back to Regina, who's just herself, and she wears her natural self on her outside in her way she dresses and the way she carries herself. She's not pretending to be somebody that she's not. Meanwhile, Snow White is out here acting like she's such a good, but she's the one who's really doing craziness behind the scenes. And this is what I'm saying about I feel like about people, where I'm like, whoa, so is this what people were taking away from this show the whole time? It's like the girlies, you know, the girlies who like love to read books and love to read like erotic books, and they'll be the most shyest little, like when guys are around they can't even make eye contact or whatever, right? But when you hear like the things that these girls are getting up to, hold on, oh my days, the race to get things done before the sun sets. Because the thing is, I'm going to go out in the dark. I want to go out like late, where it's like 2 a.m. and it's pitch black and it's freezing and nobody's around. So it's either that I'm going out at sunset when the sun is setting, or I'm going to be waiting till 2 a.m. And quite frankly, there were certain things I couldn't do at that time. Anyways, nobody asked. Back to what I was saying. So yeah, so now I'm just like, it's just another thing now to like overthink, because, oh yeah, the book girlies. I'm so glad I remember what I was saying. I might have to split this into 2 parts. Oh well, I'm already going to have to edit this anyway, so that's fine. So what happened is, it's always the girlies, right? The ones with the frigging reader books, with their little fantasy books. Because again, I've never been a fan of like fantasy fiction, all of that, because I don't like fiction. That's why you guys know I never listened to myths and legends at school, because I'm like, why am I adding to my mind things that are not real when I can barely remember the things I need to remember? That was always like my logic, was just like, why am I going through all this effort to remember and to learn stuff that didn't happen when I can barely remember the things that did? Or why am I trying to learn things that are not true when I can barely remember the things that are true? That's just the way that I think, right? And so to me, the fiction books, or whatever, non-fiction, I don't know, whatever the one's the fake one, yeah, I get confused sometimes. I don't care. I don't care for it. But I noticed that these girlies, there's a bunch of girlies who love it, and there's a bunch of girlies who love these erotica, whatever, and they're the ones, yeah, who are always the quiet little shy ones. And you know what made me even realize, and how I came to know what was really going on? It's courtesy of Shits and Gigs podcast. So I watch, again, because it's usually on a Monday, so it's like my way of like laughing during the day whilst having to come back into adulthood. And I don't really watch it actually every week. I don't know why I say it like I do all the time, but sometimes I do. Anyway, they have a segment on the show and it's called Daddy Fantasy, right? And basically James puts on these glasses, and he has, I don't know how, but the girlie's got him reading one of these books, yeah. And so he comes on to do Daddy Fantasy, where he pretty much gives us a retelling of what happened in the chapters of the book that he's been reading. And his retelling of the stories are so funny, right? But then when you see this, and I'm like, this is what the little shy girls in the corner are reading? This is what they're doing over there? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's what I'm saying. This world, I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because it's like, you could just be someone like me who just happens to be maybe a bit more in your face, going back to Regina, and people assume all this stuff about you, but then it'll always be the people who are just lurking, right? Just like a serpent lurking in the background, hiding away, playing innocent, that are the ones who are really doing some wild things. And so now I'm like, this is why I don't trust anyone, because I'm like, the hell? I couldn't believe it when I heard about this whole story arc. All I saw it was as a very healthy platonic rivalry between Regina and Emma. And the thing about it is, for me, is that I would expect this potentially from the male community. It's more so it's more so the fact that it's the girlies seeing this. The girlies are the ones who are picking up on this. To the point people are getting upset, accusing the show of queer baiting. Excuse me? So this is what I mean, guys. Like, why does everything have to get weird? Like, why can't we just exist? Like, they were just two women. It's the same way like I feel about being naked. Like, why does a naked body have to be such a big thing? It's just a body. It's just flesh. Move on. Like, why is it all like everybody? Like, I just feel like everybody's so enslaved. Like, and it's not like I'm saying I'm 100% free either, guys. I'm just saying, like, this is the stuff that be happening when I say I'm just trying to mind my business and just live and just live doing my thing, and like I'm not trying to cause anybody any trouble. I'm not trying to like, you know, solicit anything. Like, and this is now where I'm realizing, like, the more as a woman, yeah, now it's like, I don't even have to only worry about coming across like I'm soliciting things to the male community and have to overthink every single thing about that anymore. Now I have to think about that with the women as well. Because if I think about some of the stories I've heard from some of these girlies, right, and how this stuff starts, and again, like, they don't share stuff. Yeah. A lot of women who are all like, oh, happily independent, yeah, especially in my age group, yeah, it's because behind the scenes, some of these friends they have, yeah, friends with benefits, and you just don't know about it. And yeah, so now I'm like, I have to overthink this now. But like some of the things like I used to do, like with my female friends, my goodness, because we were, you know, I wasn't the worst. I've never been the worst of it, but like, you know, so I think I can't even like be myself now. Like, I actually can't be myself around anyone. Like, I cannot. And also the other thing about that is I also can't participate in what anybody else is doing. Because like I said, these shows these days, like that's why I loved having something like Once Upon a Time, and why it really ruins it for me that people were taking it. And they kind of did, because they ended up forcing a whole bunch of relationships in the show to become just so much more. It was never that kind of TV program. So much more in your face than they needed to be, because I'm all for a bit of romance and whatever, but I'm like, it doesn't need to become like, I don't want to call out some of the shows that I think that I watched where I was just like, you know what, some of this is not adding to the storyline and it's actually just distracting. Like the same like I'm saying about with anime, like you literally can't go anywhere. I'm hearing there's a really good storyline and I'm being distracted and violated because I'm realizing that like virtually every anime I even saw yesterday, and I saw this woman do it, and I was like, hell yeah, like a clip from I think Anime Con, and this woman was dressed up. I don't know what anime she was from, and she was like, what's one thing you would say to all something? She was like, what's one thing you would say? Was it a hot take or something you would say to all members of anime or whatever? And the first thing that came out of her mouth, make everybody 18 or over. And I was like, thank you. And I feel like because she's a woman, yeah, and she's a woman who's like healthy with herself mentally, like, and sexually as well. That's why she felt it so deeply, because I feel like that's why I feel certain things so deeply. This is why I have such strong boundaries. This is why I feel the way so passionately about how I do about with kids and stuff like that, because I'm like, I'm actually quite healthy. Like, you know what I mean? I'm really not, and I'm not judging people who are, right? But I'm very much a heterosexual. Like, I've thought about this a lot because people always say, you're on the spectrum. I'm actually very much not on the spectrum. I'm actually very much not on any spectrum. I'm actually very heterosexual, to be fair. Like, and I never really cared about it until people would say like, and I would, if honestly, guys, I have throughout my life, there have been times where I'm like, should I question my sexuality or whatever? But like, you know, because I don't ever want to just say things just to say things. But like, as time has gone on, I just don't have any desire to be with a woman in any aspect, like at all. Like, I just don't. I don't really see the attraction. Like, I don't see it. Like, I understand the appreciation of the female body, but I feel like I already have one myself. So, do you know what I mean? I can just enjoy my own body. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to, matter of fact. And also, I don't know, like I said, I feel like I'm just healthier. Like, low key, I feel like I'm just actually mentally and sexually healthier than a lot of people. And then the other thing is that even if, say, if I was or if I wasn't, or even in a heterosexual sense, yeah, I just feel like this is not like something that I'm always thinking about, because as I've been saying to you guys, one of the things that bothers me is how I feel constantly sexualized all the time. And it is true that I am always being sexualized. Like, I'm constantly being sexualized, whether it's in the church, whether it's by others. I was remembering yesterday, this is one of the things that made me think about it. Think about this yesterday. And one of these girls who I went to school with, yeah, because I was thinking about my weight. So you'll be able to see me just walking through this little shrub bush thing. One of these girls who I went to school with, yeah, she's one of the ones who I brought up. In fact, she's the one who played the oh my gosh, oh my gosh, after she was the one who lied about so much stuff about her, and then we had a disagreement, and then she went around, her mum came to the school, and then I got internal exclusion, and then she went around crying, and I only didn't get in any trouble because I didn't cry, even though she was the one who lied, and she swayed the Jew of the sheep all, right? So anyways, so fast forward, I see her, like, we ended up mending fences as we do, right? Because that's just the nature of these kinds of things. And we were like, okay, from a distance. I saw her fast forward, yeah, when we were then maybe, we left secondary school at 16. I probably next saw her when I was at maybe 18, 19, yeah? Or even maybe 20. Nah, because I would have left by 18. So it had to be before I was 18. And I was thinking about her because she said something that made me realize something at the time, but then now I'm realizing something different. She was like, your boobs look smaller. And I was like, no, she says, your boobs look bigger, or something like that. One of the two. I can't remember. But all I know is that they don't change size, and it's usually down to my stomach. Like, if I've lost weight in my stomach, my boobs look bigger. If I've got more weight in my stomach, well, they look smaller. And that's how I can always tell, because I'm like, whoa, when I look in the mirror, because I'm like, oh, okay, because I know they don't change size. So, but then I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, like, that's just what I always thought, and I never really thought into it. But then I thought about this today or yesterday. Why was that the first thing she said to me when she saw me? Like, I haven't seen you in years. Why is the first words to leave your mouth, your boobs look smaller or bigger? Why? And like, why is somebody always talking about my body or my appearance or something? Like, and this is what I'm saying. I think people are weird because I'm not thinking this. I'm not going around looking and thinking, oh my gosh, look at so-and-so's body. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll notice somebody who I think has nice features or whatever. And I could be like, oh, that person's got really nice features or whatever. But I feel like, I don't know what world I'm living in. Like, this is what I'm starting to think here. I need to start giving myself some more credit and like stop giving myself such a hard time. Because I'm here giving myself a hard time all the time thinking, oh, you sinner. God is so disappointed in you because you just keep disappointing him and you'll keep sinning. Like, in my head, and I'm always going to the Lord like, God, I'm sorry. Give me another chance. Just one more chance and I'm going to do better. And like, all the time. And then I look at things because, like, what possesses someone? Like, and this is so many things that people say to me. I'm like, what possessed you to say that to me? Like, what of all things, of all comments? Oh, your boobs. And that's the first thing she talked about. This is why I feel like, yeah, God gave me big boobs on purpose, because like, I feel like so many things that God did in life, he did on purpose for me so that I would get the actual experience of like, know what it feels like and like get to see the truth of people. Like, I feel like that's why I give off tempting energy to people, unfortunately, because it's like I get to see the real truth of who people are that they can't hide from. As they think they can get away with it, or because they can't control themselves. It's one of the two, and it's usually a bit of a combination of both, that they can't really help themselves. And I'm saying it's men and women, and it's in the positives and the negatives. It's the same thing with the taking the anger out, where it's like, oh, because I'm not some big, tall, like, scary, stocky woman. You know what I mean? I'm 5'4". People always like, wow, you're shorter than I would have thought you were. Like, yeah. And stuff like that. And it's like, so then it's like, and then you can almost see the look in people's face when they think like, oh, you're going to be easy to take advantage of. Like, oh, bless you. Like, look, like I said, it's always like, oh, you look like a doll. You just look more like a doll. And that's why people, don't mind losing their temper in front of me. Men and women, like something, men and women. And I'm not talking even about like growing up, like, because for example, my parents, they were, I don't know, I don't think they were never like violent or even angry people. Didn't the sound of my voice, my dad calling my voice from upstairs, send the fear of God through me? Absolutely. But they were never like, like other people's parents, like people grew up around violence and stuff like that. So a lot of my experiences with like having people screaming in my face and like being violent, like it's like, it doesn't even come from my childhood home. It comes from my experience with people I don't know. And that's the craziest part. Like, a lot of my experiences with people just touching and this and that, yeah, and all this, So yeah, so that's why I'm like, this show, as much as I love it and everything, it's like as soon as I share it with the world, and as soon as I was like looking at what others thought, it's like it immediately went from being just this lovely, precious, beautiful, interesting show that had a lot of depth, a lot of interesting characters, really well written, to this like, oh, and we need to compare all the relationships, and people were upset because Milan clearly caught feelings for so and so, and they should have written into the show that Milan actually got to be with her. And it was nice in the final season, we got to see so and so's kid and this kid doing all of this on screen. And I'm like, really? Because the story is so beautiful, it's so beautifully written, it's such a well adapted version of so many of the stories, and they took so many parts of all the individual fairy tales that we all like, that I grew up hearing about and watching, and they put it into this really beautiful masterpiece. Like, and this is how I feel about it with anime. I'm like, it's this beautiful masterpiece, and you had to ruin it because you wanted to be having excuse to draw, like, because you're sitting there, like, there's grown men in Japan drawing what they suspect to see up a Chinese girl's, a Japanese girl's, schoolgirl's skirt, and her boobs, and I'm like, and her body, and all the little, the sound effects, all this, and I'm just like, and they call it jiggle mechanics. It's even got a term. It's called jiggle mechanics. Jiggle mechanics. This is where I'm like, you know what? I get why the Lord allows me to go through things, because He knows I'm going to be the one to sound the alarm bell. I'm not going to just turn around. And I also don't appreciate the attention. I don't like it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not like, oh, this is nice. This is nice that people are looking at me because of this or because of that, or I'm getting all of this attention, or no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't. I feel used and abused. I feel like everybody's degenerate and out of control, can't control themselves, enslaved. And I want to be free. Like, I do things because of out of choice. If I go and do whatever I'm doing, guys, I'm doing it because I chose to. I've thought about it. I made my decision. I'm not overcome by my body. I'm choosing to do it. I'm not out of control. And that's why when I'm in other scenarios, I don't have to be just in the presence of somebody I think is attractive and be losing my head entirely, or be, whatever, or start having lines blurred, and then I'm just being swayed along with the rest of the jury of the freaking sheep, or down the wave of entropy. No, that's not going to happen. I'm going to be where I'm going to be, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be, because I don't need to be like, I'm not a slave. And that's what, to me, anyways, I'm going to wrap this up because this video is going to be long. I'm probably going to make it 2 parts, right? But like, that's what entropy means. That's what having freedom in Christ means to me, is that I have the opportunity to do anything. Everything I'm saying to you is not that I'm trying and be something I'm not. I have the choice. I have the choice to do whatever I want to say. I'm under Christ. So technically speaking, because I have Jesus, and because Jesus died on the cross for me and I received Him, all my sins are covered. So if I wanted to justify my sins and whatnot, technically, I can do whatever I want. I'm not under the law anymore. But the question is, do I want to? And the fact is, the closer I get to the Lord, the more I just naturally want the things that God wants, right? And the things that God suggests. And the more I get to know the Lord, right, the more I feel like, even though I could go and do such and such and I could justify it, I don't actually want to. Like, I don't want to. And I don't even want to have things controlling me. I like that I can just be around people and I'm not losing my head, and I'm not seeing the innuendos and everything and the whatevers. Because sometimes people, this is the thing with adults, that I find crazy. I remember once upon a time, I was in cheerleading, right? And, I tried to, not use bad language for the most part, And I remember I was in cheerleading once, and you guys will hear me say, like, what in the freaking frack is going on, and like stuff like that. And that's purely because it's funny to me. No one says it. And it's also just adds to, it's just my personality. But then also, I really don't see the need to overly use, adult language. But then I also will if I want to. But I just don't have to. Like, I'm like, have you ever met people that can't help themselves, and then they can't be anywhere because they're so used to it, they've got no control over themselves, and that's actually embarrassing. So that's why I don't ever want to be like that. So that's why there's a lot of things where I'm like, I could actually be like that and I could just justify it, but I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to be in a place where I can't help myself but like change the way that I speak. So I want to have control over that. And I remember one day in cheerleading, right? This is when I was in All-Star cheerleading. And one of the girls goes, like, we're all sitting in a group. One of the girls goes, you can swear, right? You can swear. And I'm like, yeah, I know I can. I don't want to. Like, I don't want to. Like, what is this just cool because we're older now? Now we can swear. No, this is stupid. If I want to, I will. And if I choose not to, then I choose not to. And I'm choosing not to because maybe I don't want it to be a habit. I don't want it to be something I do all the time. I don't necessarily want it to be associated with my personality all the time. But at the same time, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. because I'm not enslaved. That's the point. I'm not enslaved. I don't have to do it. I choose to do it whether I want to or whether when I want to. And then that allows me the ability to make my decisions and say to myself, hey, you know what? Everything I'm doing it in my right mind. As the Bible says, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So in my sound mind, I soundly make sound decisions. I soundly make sound decisions. You know, in other versions it says be sober minded. Right? In the same way that people do things that they wouldn't do when they're under the influence. Why? Because you don't have control anymore. You don't have the same amount of control that you would have outside of that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So anyways, I'm going to go. I've yapped on enough. If I want to add extra, I'll do it in the editing because I'm going to have to edit this anyways because there's multiple clips. But you guys get the idea. This is why I'm afraid of aging anyway, getting older. It's not to do with the aging body. I think the aging body is beautiful. It's not because of the number. The number doesn't really matter. But it's just like, I don't want to become more degenerate. I don't want to become more like the adult population, just corrupt, full of pride, and then also loving it, because I realize adults, they kind of love it. Like people kind of love, like this girl, she was like, I kind of wish that we did have that relationship with Regina and thinking, I'm like, nothing that there's wrong with that. The thing, and like I said, it's not about the relationship itself. It's the fact that why can't we just let there be just platonic, normal things? Why does there always have to be just blurred lines everywhere? Blurred lines everywhere. Anyways, guys, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Anyways, this is the last sunset I'll have while I'm still 28. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. If life's a game, let's play to win.